our CEO, and given that this is your first opportunity to work together as a crowd, I'm expecting big things. So a warm round of applause, please, for our CEO and one of the producers of the film Dolphin Tale, Mr. David Yates.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Actually, can I, Anna, can you bring one of those, my stool? One of those stools? I'm a stool kind of guy. Well, welcome. Good to have you guys here. I was looking to find out who I'm talking to. So if you're from the Tampa area, gentlemen, raise your hand. Tampa area? Okay, good stuff. All right. Another part of Florida, raise your hand. Couple. Another state? Wow. Another staters. Where are you from? New Jersey. My son just moved to New Jersey. My son moved to New Jersey. Funny story, guys. My son lived in Florida his whole life. Never got a direct hit of a hurricane. Moved to New Jersey. As he's driving up to New Jersey, Irene is 1 day behind him. He gets hit head on, so funny stuff. What other states what other states we have represented here?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, great. That's a state or a city?
City.
Okay, just making sure. I'm from Nebraska. I'm from Iowa, Nebraska. I'm kidding with you, so.
Illinois.
Illinois, great. Where else?
Texas.
Texas. We're in Texas.
Houston.
Houston. I have a brother in Houston. I was born in San Antonio. Brother in Austin, sister in St. Angelo, and I grew up in Lubbock.
Ah.
So, what can I say? What am I doing here, right?
Yeah.
All right. How about out of another country? Another country? Oh, we got Vermont. I'm sorry. Wait, is Vermont another country? Where are you guys from? Okay, Vermont, great. And where are you from?
Holland.
Holland. Great. Good to have you guys here. I grew up in northwest Iowa, which is great Dutch country. And we had the Tulip Festival every year. We wore our women's shoes and stuff, so. Here we go, man. Good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you guys about basically 3 things today. About the movie Dolphin Tale. I'll talk about Winter's story, a little bit more of her story, a little bit more history of how we made her tale. But don't leave. If you leave before I get done, I have some really tough guys in the back. You're not going to be let go. I'll tell you guys a story about a baby dolphin we have named Hope. It is a great, you will not believe this story. You'll think I'm lying when I tell it. It's a true story. But first of all, who thinks they know a lot about Winter's story? Who knows pretty much they think they know Winter's story? Anybody here? Volunteers don't count. You count. Anybody who knows anything about Winter? How about anybody know anything about Winter at all? All right. What do you know about Winter?
Winter was found with her mother. Her mother was beached and dead, and she was trying to nurse, and she was brought. Oh no, Winter.
That's Hope.
No, that's
That's
Hope.
Hope. That's Hope. That's Hope.
Winter was.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got the story wrong. Change the movie. Change the movie. Caught in a rope. Okay. You know something else? Okay, I'm sorry. Anybody else? What else?
It was a crab trap.
Crab trap? Okay. Well, Winter is an Atlantic bottlenose dolphin that was caught in a crab trap rope. Not the crab trap itself, crab trap rope, over by Cape Canaveral on the east coast of Florida. This happened in December 2005. And long story short, baby dolphin swimming in the ocean, very inquisitive, found a crab trap, found the rope, got caught in the rope. And what happened, the reason how she got found is there was a fisherman named Jim Savage, who is now a good friend of ours, who was the only fisherman fishing in that area of Florida that day. It's Mosquito Lagoon. You can see Cape Canaveral from where that area is, pretty close. And he was out fishing by, it was a cold Florida day. If you're from Holland, it was probably very warm weather. It's probably swimming weather for Holland or Iowa. But it was a cold Florida December morning for us. And he was the only guy out fishing, and he saw a line of crab trap buoys. Crab trap consists of the buoy, of the trap itself, a rope that goes to the top, and then a buoy that marks it at the top of the surface, right? He saw a line of buoys, and one was going the wrong way against the current. It's like, well, why they all going this way, one's going this way? He takes his boat over, and basically looks down, and lo and behold, what does he find? He sees a baby dolphin. And at that point, he's like, I'm a fisherman, I don't save dolphins, what the heck do I do? I'm by myself. But he realized she was in serious trouble. So he grabbed his knife, kind of jumped in, cut the rope off as best he could. The rope was caught all around her body, 3 or 4 places. Cut the rope off. At that point, he thought, well, maybe she's going to be okay. Maybe she'll swim away, right? She stayed. She didn't move. She was so traumatized and worn out that she just very sick, literally did not move at all. Then he's like, now what do I do? I don't rescue dolphins. He did the right thing. He grabbed his phone. He called the Fish and Wildlife Commission, which is one of the organizations we work with. And they called a rescue team on the East Coast that does what we do over here. They came out, they rescued Winter. It took this pretty much all day. And they transported her all the way across the state in a van to us. We got her that night at about 9 o'clock. And she was in extremely bad shape. Baby dolphins rarely survive rescues. They just don't. I mean, so this is a 2-month-old baby dolphin. If you have a 2-month-old human baby that goes to something like that, they're not going to live, right? So the odds are she won't survive at all. So when we got her, it was a miracle she got that far. But when we got her, right, we did all the things for an animal hospital, we did all the things you normally do. We got the veterinarians, we did a medical check on her. She was given antibiotics for any kind of infection. So anything you do for a human in a hospital, we do for animals around here. That's what we do. So just in case, we're not going to give up on any animal, but she's in bad shape, right? So long story short, every day she's just hanging around and hanging around. And every shift that our team was on, our volunteers and our staff watching her, when they left their shift, they thought when they came back for their next shift, Winter probably would not be here. She probably wouldn't make it. Very traumatized, very sick, dehydrated, can die from any kind of infection very quickly. And we have a great team here. They did a great job. This is where Winter's story really starts to take off, where she just refused to give up and just found new ways to survive. So then a couple of weeks, one of the things that had happened, the rope, it caught around her tail fluke. It caught very tight around her tail fluke. And kids, if you do this to your hand, what happens? Or even adults. You cut off the blood flow, right? You just grab your hand for a long time, it turns purple. Well, the blood flow had been cut off. So when we got her, the tail was on, but it was severely damaged. So we didn't know what was going to happen. But gradually, as she swam a little bit, we had her little small pool in back. As she began to swim, the tail started to come off basically on its own. It started to come off and slide off in bits and pieces. So eventually, within a few weeks, she had just a little bit left on. We had to snip that off because it was just kind of dangling. And then we had a very acute dolphin that probably wouldn't survive anyway, and now has lost its tail. So obviously our team is going, oh my gosh, what do we do now? The odds are just, she has no chance at this point. The dolphins have to swim. In the wild, they have to swim for a number of things. Number one, they have to be able to hunt, right? She wasn't hunting yet. She was too young for that. She was nursing from her mom. You also have to get away from prey, right? But in captivity, even here, there's still one basic reason why dolphins have to swim. Can you tell me what that is? This is a little marine mammal lesson now. What's that? I'm sorry, what do you say? Breathe? You say breathe? You say breathe? All right. I got to give him a high five for that. That's exactly right. What's your name? You did a good job. You know your stuff. All these adults didn't know the answer, and you did, so good job, buddy. Good job. They have to be able to breathe, right? Mammals have to breathe, so if she can't swim to get to the top, if she sinks to the bottom, our concern was, without the tail, she can't swim. If she sinks to the bottom, this is only a 4-foot pool, but if she sinks and can't get up, she can drown in 3 or 4 minutes. So our team literally held Winter in their arms 24 hours a day and walked her around to make sure she wouldn't drown until we came up with a plan. Because we had no plan. What do you do at that point, right? Well, this is where Winter started realizing, you know what, I'm going to find a way to survive here. So Winter basically realized, I can't swim like this, I don't have the tail fluke to give me propulsion anymore, so I can't do this to move. She started wiggling her body in a side-to-side motion like this. It got her some propulsion, and she started swimming around the pool in a very slow way. And we realized, oh my God, and we didn't teach her to do that. She learned that on her own. We realized, my gosh, she's going to survive. So that was a big hurdle to get over at that point. So Winter just found ways to get over all these hurdles of surviving that we didn't think she could do. But with that came some issues. So as time went on, she survived and she got better and better, and she just beat all the odds, guys, all the odds. But that swimming in a side-to-side motion caused some issues. The concern is it might damage her back, her spine, or other organs. Because a dolphin's not made to swim this way. That's not how their body's made, right? So the concern was what's going to happen. So we started talking about, could we get her an artificial tail? Just kind of joking in the early days. And kind of like, that'd be a good idea, it'd be kind of nice. Well, long story short, about 4 or 5 months later, I put Winter's story out to the media. We brought it to the NBC Today show. We knew it'd be a very inspiring story, so we put it out. We also did what's called an AP wire piece, which is just a news piece. It goes out in the wire around the world. Anybody wants to come pick it up. The long story short, it just took off and mushroomed. This story went all around the world, every country, every major newspaper, TV outlet, web outlet, just mushroomed all around. It's just a very inspiring story. Everybody loved the story. So it just took off. Well, from that, a guy named Kevin Carroll, who you'll see in just a second in the video, Kevin is a world-renowned prosthetist. He works for Hanger Prosthetics. And he heard the Winter story on NPR radio. And Kevin called us up and said, hey, I'd like to consider maybe I can help you guys put a tail on your dolphin. And we thought, oh, he's joking, and he's not serious about this, and he probably, maybe he just wants some media coverage. And we realized Kevin was serious. Well, we were serious. Kevin was serious. We said, you know what? Let's do this. So moving ahead, we put together a team. In April of 2007, I brought together the Hanger guys, Kevin Carroll and his partner Dan Strinska. They were to make the tail now. I brought in, of course, our trainers, our dolphin trainers here. We brought in some other remammal experts from Harbor Branch, group on the East Coast. And we also brought in a guy named Mike Walsh, who's the world's most renowned marine mammal veterinarian, who worked at SeaWorld for 21 years and now works with us. And we just sat around the table and said, okay, where do we start, guys? And there was no book to do this. There was no protocol. Nobody ever made a tail for a dolphin like this. So we literally had to start from scratch. What do you guys think some of the biggest challenges we had from day one was? I mean, there's a lot of things we had to get over. What do you think the obvious biggest challenge we had early on in developing winter's tail? Any thoughts about what the challenges might have been? How to keep it on. Exactly right. How are we going to make it stay on? Winter, as her body kind of looks like this at the end, there's nothing to attach it to. So how in the heck are we going to make a tail stay on her? So the thrust they have is male dolphins can jump 15 feet out of the air. They can swim 25 miles an hour. So there's a lot of thrust in her tail fluke. Even if she doesn't do that much, regardless, how are we going to make it stay on? So that was the biggest challenge. So we determined early on we're not going to do anything invasive. We're not going to hurt her. We're not going to do staples and any kind of nails, stuff like that. So we're not going to do anything to hurt her, because if it hurt her at all, she'd reject it and never wear it. And remember, the main reason behind the tail is to kind of be proactive physical therapy for her back, so you didn't develop issues. So we want her to wear the tail. So we had to make it stay on. We also had to make sure it didn't hurt her. So those things were in conflict. How do we make it stay on, but also not hurt her, so she wants to wear it? So the first thing that Hagen came up with is a gel material that is, this is an actual gel she wears. It's called Winter's Gel. And this is actually featured in the movie itself. It's actually called Winter's Gel. And it's very, very soft, but also very, very, very strong. It protects her skin. It goes over first. It's a very strong protective layer, but also it creates suction, which is one of the ways the tail stays on. So who thinks they're strong? Any young men back here? Actually, or young ladies. So who wants to, I need a kid up here if we can. So we got, why don't you come up? There you go, right in front of my blind. Why don't you come up? What's your name?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, my name is Mr. Yates. Why don't you grab that in with both your hands? I'm going to grab this in. You're going to walk that way. I'm going to walk this way. We're going to stretch it as far as we can. Don't let go.
Okay.
It might hurt the other way. Okay. All right, back it up. Ready? Keep stretching. Keep going.
Wow.
Keep going. All right, good job. Good job. Round of applause. Good job, Mackenzie. Thank you. So this is very soft, but very, very, very strong. We could blow it up into an 8-foot ball. It wouldn't break. And it's called Winter's Gel. So this goes on first to protect her skin and also create the suction that helps it stay on. Then, this is one of the actual tails right here she's used. This is one of Winter's tails. And this is a lot of high-tech research. It's not a guy like me in a garage hammering away with a hammer. This is done by computer scans. If you look, this is what her body looks like. This is the mold of her body right here. This is what her body looks like right here. It's called the peduncle area. It's exactly what she looks like. We mold her every 2 or 3 months. We're constantly making new tails for 2 reasons. Number one, guess the obvious reason? Getting bigger all the time, right? Secondly, we're learning how to make the tail perfect it better all the time. So this is exactly what her body looks like. So once that gel goes on to protect her skin, we then will loosen this up. This is a very, very high-tech part of the tail called Velcro. So anyway, this goes on. So this goes on her body like this. We'll tighten this based on whatever size she is that day. This is the second sleeve of Winter's Gel that we pull all the way over the tail. It's not wet, so I won't do it right now. This pulls all the way over, and that's how the tail stays on, between the strap and the gel sleeve. This is the tail fluke that she doesn't have. Her body ends right here. This is all brand new for her. So we're now trying to perfect this area, make sure it has the same buoyancy and resistance she would normally have as a dolphin. She loves the tail. Matter of fact, it's a very positive experience. As I said, it has to be, otherwise she'll reject it. So she wears it, she loves it. Normally what the trainers will say is, she won't, when they ask her to come over and take it off, she's like, no, I'm going to swim around a little bit more. So she enjoys it. It's a great experience. It's also great for her physically. And I want to tell you guys a quick story about Winter's Gel. And when you watch the movie Dolphin Tale, you'll see this featured in the movie itself. And it's really a neat story. So this was made for winter, right? This is made for her. It's made just for her. So Kevin Carroll, who you'll see in a minute in the video, And Kevin and Dan Stremska are magicians helping people walk. They develop artificial limbs for people. They're renowned. Kevin's been on Oprah. He's been on Dateline 2020. He's renowned at his work. And they're just great friends and great guys, too. But Kevin tells the story that he had a young patient. In his work, they see a lot of difficult situations, as you can imagine. And there was a 19-year-old man, he's now 22, but at the time he was 19. He was a patient of Kevin's who was in the Army that lost a leg in Iraq to an IED. Very traumatic experience for the young man, emotionally, physically. Kevin made an artificial leg for him, and he was having pain with his leg, which is very common. And Kevin was at his house in Arizona, and the young man was complaining about the pain, and Kevin said, hold on, I have an idea here. Kevin goes out to his car, grabs his briefcase, and he has a sample of Winter's gel with him. So he takes that, he forms it around the young man's leg, he puts it on, begins to walk with it, completely solved his pain. Kevin realized, whoa, hold on a second, what I made for Winter, I can use with people now. So now there are hundreds of people around the country, including kids and other wounded soldiers, using Winter's gel now to solve their pain in the prosthetic limbs. Is that not cool or what? So the science of human technology and prosthetics helped Winter, and now it's going back the other way. And that is so cool. And I've met a lot of those people. I met kids. I did a presentation here 2 weeks ago, and one of the people in here said their grandfather has a prosthetic leg. He's using Winter's gel. So it's just neat to see that happen. So that's just a neat story. All right, the movie Dolphin Tale. Who's heard of the movie Dolphin Tale? All right, you guys have seen probably commercials and things about it. So it's a major motion picture based on the real-life story of Winter the Dolphin. It was filmed here last fall. We actually closed down for about 3 months, and we completely totally changed. We didn't stop our marine life rescue work. We just stopped the tourism aspect of what we did. It's a 4-year project, started back in 2007. It's a long story how we got here, but it's an amazing project. As you probably know, it stars Harry Connick as the director of the Aquarium. Morgan Freeman plays the real-life guys in Hangar that make Winter's Tale. Ashley Judd plays a young boy's mom, and the young boy really is the main storyline of his relationship with Winter. Then Chris Christopherson plays Harry Connick's dad. So it's a great crew. It's a story it's a fictional story about a young boy, but it's based on real life that happens here every day. I've seen the movie 4 or 5 times. It is an amazing movie, guys. It's a global campaign. It's going all around the world. It's going to tell the whole world what we do. It's going to be in Holland, I'll be in England in October promoting it also, but it's going to be a major motion picture every country of the world. Very inspiring movie about what actually happened here and what happens here every day. So we're excited about that. So what I want to do is show you guys a couple short trailers, promo trailers for the movie. So I'm going to show you one right now that is a 2.5-minute piece of kind of behind the scenes of filming. So watch this and I'll come back up. I hope you like this.
The story of Dolphin Tale is about a dolphin named Winter. She'd been trapped in a crab trap, and Clearwater Marine Aquarium tried to rehabilitate her, but during the course of that rehabilitation, her injuries caused her tail to have to be amputated.
It was too infected. My dad said it had to come off. How's she gonna live if she can't swim?
When I read that last page that this was a true story, I was like, wow, I really want to be in this movie.
That's Winter. She really seems to respond to you.
Maybe she's not giving up after all.
We've never encountered this before.
I heard about this little dolphin that had lost his tail. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I could help that little dolphin.
And they came in and they said, you know what? We can use what we've done with humans and we can apply it to this prosthetic tail.
I went into the audition and Charles said, yeah, we're teaching the real Winter to do all this stuff, you know. What? I had no idea we were going to work with the actual Winter. Whenever she knows you're looking at her, she'll look up and she'll look at you sideways like that, like, hey.
You know, the character of Kyle, Sawyer's cousin, the war veteran, represents all the physically challenged that have come to see Winter and drawn inspiration from her.
They are probably more intelligent of the mammal species, and this is the first time I've had very close contact with one. This I made up from parts from an old Buick. It's a little stiff, but it should work until the real parts are made.
Every aquarium in the country says it's hopeless.
Well, they haven't met Winter yet.
Do you think winter remembers things, like the ocean, family.
It's also a very emotional story that I think anybody of any age would be drawn to.
I have a family, and this is the type of movie that we would all go see together.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So that is one of the So again, the main storyline about Dolphin Tale is it's about a young boy named Sawyer. And he is played by an amazing young actor named Nathan Gamble. Nathan is a fairly big star. He's going to be a huge star after this. He did an amazing job. Nathan played, for example, he was in the movie Marley and Me. Now, in our movie, we have him in dark hair. He's actually blonde, so you might not have recognized him. We changed his hair to dark for the movie. He's actually a blonde-haired kid. He was in Marley and Me. He also played the commissioner's son in the last Batman movie, The Dark Knight. Amazing young actor. Anyway, the storyline is he's a young boy, not doing well at life, not engaged, being raised by a single mom, just doesn't know what to do with his life. And long story short, he helps rescue Winter, gets engaged with Winter, starts coming back to the aquarium here, and every time he comes back, Winter perks up and does a little bit better. She remembers him from helping save her at the beach. Totally changes his life. He gets excited about life. He's getting up in the morning early. He's coming to CNA. He totally changes who he is, brings him out of his shyness, which we see happen here every day, guys. That's not fake. That is real life. This particular story is fictional, so it wouldn't be a documentary, but that's real life. So in turn, he convinces Morgan Freeman, who was playing the Hangar Guys, to make a tale for Winter, and also gets the community to rally around behind CMA, because CMA is going under financially at that point, which we were 6 years ago. We're not now, we're fine, but it's all based on real life. Very inspiring story. The fact that it is based on real life. And when you watch the movie, at the very end, it shows, the movie is the movie itself, obviously. At the very end, it shows 2 or 3 minutes of us, our real life team, that was just portrayed in the movie. So it's really a neat ending also. You guys will like that, so it's very exciting. It releases in the United States September 23rd. We're about a couple weeks away. Internationally, other dates, depending on the various countries. But make sure you see if you guys will like that. Any questions about the movie that I can answer, by the way? Any questions about filming, what we did, how we did, and so on? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know how you got Harry Connick Jr.
Well, he plays, he says, how did I get Harry to play me? I'm not quite that good. Harry plays the director, and his role is not exactly me. It's all loosely based on, but he is the director. I will say he sings a lot better than I do. So I'm not doing karaoke here today for you. But no, actually what happened is Alcon cast all the crew, and they got, the cast they got is absolutely perfect for all the roles. Harry did a great job as a director. And Morgan as the Hangar Guys was just a kill. Alcon Entertainment is a filmmaker, by the way. If you don't know who they are, they're the makers of a movie called The Blind Side, for example, a huge hit. Book of Eli, My Dog Skip, P.S. I Love You, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. They're a major successful film company, and Warner Brothers is their distribution partner. They're the ones that cast the film. It's a very collaborative effort. The neat thing about this movie was it wasn't just them coming in and filming and we had nothing to do with this. It was collaborative from day one, which is very unique. Typically, studios would come in, you'd kind of get out of the way, they'd film, and you have no involvement. But we didn't want that, and Alcon was very good at letting us be involved. Our team was heavily involved. You'll see a lot of our team in the movie itself, a lot of our staff and volunteers. I'm a co-producer in this. Our team was involved in all kinds of things, getting extras in. So they really let us get involved in this thing. We saw the script early on. We wanted to make sure it portrayed us in a very accurate way. But the cast they have is a very top A-list cast. The director is Charles Martin Smith. He's a legend in Hollywood. He's a long-term actor himself. He played in American Graffiti back in the 70s, dozens of movies, Untouchables, Buddy Holly story, long-term actor, now directing. The guy that directed photography is a legend in Hollywood. He did all kinds. The last movie he did before us was The Chronicles of Narnia. The guy who did our underwater photography filmed Pirates of the Caribbean, went from that movie to us. So just a great, great top crew. So you'll really like the movie. Any questions about anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I had seen a previous film here of a girl that was really inspired by winter. Is she in that movie?
She's not in the movie itself, no, but she's actually, we still know who she is, and she's growing up right now and still totally inspired by Winter's story. She has a book coming out. We have a documentary out called When the Dolphin They Could, and this young lady that has a leg missing got very inspired by Winter and totally changed her life. That's who you saw. Her name is Katrina. And she'll be down here for the local premiere in about a week, by the way. But the point is, we have hundreds of thousands of kids that have been inspired by Winter's story. And you don't have to have lost to live. It can be just you're going through any life challenge, any struggle in your life. I'm having trouble in school. My parents got divorced. Winter just is a way where people just connect to her. And kids really get her story. Adults get her story. The kids get it almost by osmosis. They can look at Winter and go, okay, she's different. She's lost to tell. She's happy. She's not shy. She's not hiding in the corner. She's okay. I'm going to be okay. And they get it. So, yes, ma'am.
How big is a 2-month-old dolphin?
Not this big. She was about 60 pounds when we got her.
Not very big.
Very small. And the dolphin I'm going to tell you about in a second was almost the same thing. So let me get at that. We have a baby dolphin named Hope. I'm going to tell you a story. You guys are probably not going to believe this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's true. So the movie was about a 4-year process, right, to get done. It started back in 2007. It was a long process of script writing, and the odds of it going were very, very small. But I mean, getting a movie made is 1 in a billion. It just doesn't happen. Anybody here had a movie made about them lately? Not all right. It's very rare. It's hard to get done, right? Long process, took 4 years. So what happened is, just so happened the last day of filming on Dolphin Tale was last December 11th, Saturday, right? That was just our last day after. It just happened to be, after 4 years of planning, that was the last day, right? So we planned what was called a wrap party that night. A wrap party is you get together with the crew and you pretty much say goodbye. It's your last party, right? So we planned it next door at the restaurant, Island Way Grill, just next door, 100 feet from here, right? By the way, great place to eat. So we planned it that night. So I went home about 4 o'clock to change clothes. And at 5 o'clock, true story, 5 o'clock I get a call from Bob Ingram, who's the producer. And Bob said, hey Dave, courtesy call, we got the last shot, we're done, we're wrapped, all done. It's like, woohoo, we'll see you tonight at the party. So I said, great, I'm changing clothes, I'll be there in an hour. Within 10 minutes, I get a call from Mike Hurst, our director of animal care. Mike said, we got a call in, there's a baby dolphin being rescued on the East Coast. If it does survive, it's going to be brought here for rehabilitation. Well, remember what I said earlier? Baby dolphins don't survive rescues. It just, the last baby dolphin we had was Winter 5 years before. You rarely get calls on baby dolphins because they just don't survive incidents like that, much less survive all the way through rescue up to rehabilitation. That just doesn't happen. So we thought, well, it probably won't survive, but we had to get ready, right? So all night it was very surreal. We're like going over to the wrap party, saying goodbye to Harry Connick and the crew. Back here, getting ready, getting the tank ready, and all the medicine. Back and forth, just back and forth. Very surreal night. It's almost like Hollywood's done, back to real life, the same night, within 10 minutes after 4 years of planning. So sure enough, that night at 11:15, the dolphin arrives. We're like, oh my gosh, it survived, you're kidding me. And she was in such bad shape, rather than crane her to the next level, which we were going to do, and put her in a crane, raise her up to the pool on the outside, our team just grabbed her and ran. And just got her upstairs as quick as we could, because she was very near death. She's very dehydrated, very sick. She was found nursing from her mom who passed away. That's what you heard. So she was in very bad shape. This big, 60 pounds, about ready to die. We thought she passed away a couple of times. But anyway, long story short, it was very surreal. That same night, people thought we were still shooting the movie. They're like, this is part of the movie, right? No, this is real life kicking in the same night. And some of the crew of the movie that actually played us in the movie, that night, just so happened that night after filming ended, got to see us do the real thing that night. The timing was just bizarre, hard to believe. People literally thought this is a sequel, right? Anyway, that's only half the story. People think I'm lying when I tell that. It's a true story. Listen to this. The similarities this dolphin has with Winter. Didn't lose her tail, doesn't have that same issue. But when she got here, same species, Atlantic bottlenose dolphin, a female like Winter, found in the same general part of Florida, on the east coast of Florida, right? One of the same people that actually rescued Winter and held Winter in the water, that same lady found this dolphin. The same person. Wow. I mean the same. Her name is Teresa Mazza, works for Hubs Research Institute. She's part of the rescue team that rescued Winter. We have her on film. Found this baby dolphin. in the same general part of Florida, brought here by the same team, in the same rescue van, exactly 5 years and 1 day from the day winter arrived. It was just like, you got to be kidding me. Between the Dolphin Tale ending scenario and all the similarities with winter, it was just hard to believe. We're like, you kidding me? So the next day the media came out, they heard about this, we're doing interviews, and one of the writers, I think he got in the St. Louis Times, said, hey Dave, I have a suggested name for your baby dolphin. I said, well, we're going to have a naming contest, and we haven't named her yet, but we're going to have a naming contest. And, but you know, what is your suggested name? I'll be glad to take her on the list. And he smiled at me, and he said, Sequel. Name her Sequel. And I said, you know what? I love the idea. I love the idea. I'm not sure I like the name, but I like the idea. So don't be surprised. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if someday in the future, maybe you see Hope show up in her own movie, her own documentary. Don't be surprised. Her name is Hope. And we had a naming contest. We gave her an inspirational name because these dolphins really inspire people. So, and by the way, her plan, just in case you don't know, she's outside right now, and the pool she's in was built just for the movie. So when you watch the movie, Winter was filmed in that pool and where Winter is right now inside. But she'll, in the next 2 or 3 months, she'll be moved inside and paired with Panama initially, and then with Winter. So Winter has an adopted mom in Panama, right? She'll have a new lifetime adopted sister in Hope. Isn't that cool? So Winter will have a sister. And we're actually building it, we're kind of expanding our facility right now. We have a brand new dolphin area built on that side in about 7 or 8 months. We'll move most of the dolphins out there. That's where Winter and Hope and the dolphins will likely be for a long time. We are building a major animal care and rehab area on this side of the building. We're ready to break ground on hopefully next week. And that's going to be rehab, so once dolphins, all the animals we have here are put back in the wild and they'll survive. That's our mission. It's called rescue, rehab, and release. If they won't survive in the wild, then we keep them here. Winter, for example, would never survive. Hope wouldn't survive. They never learned their life skills from their mom. They wouldn't know how to hunt, how to get away from prey, and so on. Most of the turtles we get in do go back in the wild. So that's what we're about. So any animal you see here, dolphins, otters, and turtles, if they're here, either they're passing through, we're a hospital, or they'll be here long term because they can't survive back in the wild. But Hope is very healthy now. She beat the odds like Winter did, but again, she hasn't earned her life skills. She wouldn't survive back in the wild, so we can't put her back or she'd die. But anyway, true story. That's it. I'm sticking with it. That's what it is. It's an amazing story. But thanks for being here, and you guys have a great day.